going to do a little countdown in my head, and then we'll start.
He's all set.
Okay, I'm going to call this meeting of the Winchendon School Committee to order for Thursday, April 16th, 2020. Just a reminder to folks that the presentation tonight is being audio and video recorded for replay on the local public access channel. And if I could, before we get going, if people, just to ensure we're not talking over each other, if people could direct comments through the chair, that would be appreciated. And so I guess we'll just start off with the first thing on the agenda, which is the elementary report card request. And Michelle, is that you or?
Yeah, it's actually Mary and I, but I will speak for both of us.
Okay.
So we're, our teachers have been asking, the second trimester was supposed to close March 20th. Our last day of school was March 11th. So technically, and we had a PD day on the 13th. So for the second trimester, they really did not, they only missed 5 school days for grading. So our teachers are wanting to basically end the term on the 13th of the trimester so they can get second trimester grades into the report card for documentation.
Okay. Joan, did you need to speak to this?
No, I would recommend that the school committee vote favorably for this.
Anybody on the school committee have a question or comment?
Request.
Hearing none, I guess I then would.
But sorry.
Oh, sure, go ahead, Dan.
That includes special education progress reports too, right?
Correct. Yes. Correct.
Just wanted to specify that because
no, absolutely. Yeah, Suzanne and I had that conversation as well. So it would include, so if the decision request is granted, we basically would get that information out to all our teachers as well as all the special ed teachers to get that.
Right. Okay, thank you.
As a result of the vote, Pam, I would be sending that information out to all of the special education teachers to prepare those documents for release.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
All right, Tanisha, anything?
No.
Greg?
Yep. All right.
Michelle has
Go ahead, Joan.
to leave in a few minutes because she has a common planning meeting with her teachers.
Yeah.
A Zoom meeting this evening, but I wanted to ask her if she had anything she wanted to share with the committee, how things are going at her school.
Okay, just before, well, I guess we can come back and vote on this after that, but we need to,
I'm sorry.
apparently we need to take a vote. I need to, basically just need a motion to move ahead with the request.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Seconded.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
chair votes aye. Okay. Okay, Suzanne, go ahead.
No, so I just wanted to also, my apologies. I have a common planning time with my teachers tonight, but I just wanted to update the school committee members and those listening, where we're, how things are going currently with the memorial teachers and staff, as well as the pre-K teachers and staff. They have made amazing efforts in reaching out to families. They're doing it at least 2 to 3 times a week, trying to connect with as many students as they can. Several teachers have created, some type of virtual format to be reaching out to families in the best way that they can. They're providing resources and activities at least 2 to 3 times a week for families to do with their students. And there's always the challenge of, especially at the elementary level, with the little ones, getting them engaged for, durations of time. So, they are doing Zooms with their classrooms, and some can last 10 minutes, some can last 30 minutes. It really depends. But it's really more, so far it's been really more of a social platform for them. And they're just starting to incorporate things like show and tell, getting them to engage a little bit more. I know a couple teachers have started to do some story reading or math talks during their Zoom time, but again, it's very limited, again, obviously with 5, 6, and 7-year-olds in attention span on a Zoom with so many faces on a computer screen. But I really, really need to commend, the pre-K and Memorial staff. They're doing an incredible job. Their hearts and their dedication to get a hold of these families it's commendable. They're doing an amazing job.
Well, I want to say that I've been privileged to have been babysitting for one or two of the pre-K Zoom meetings with my granddaughter. And not only are they fun to watch, it really is great to see the kids so excited to see their teacher, for one thing, as well as seeing each other. So I think it's great, and they deserve a lot of credit for doing those. So I again commend you and your staff for all that they've been doing to reach out to the kids and the families.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions in regards to anything that's happening with our students?
I guess not.
Beautiful. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is the 2020-2021 Murdoch Program of Studies. And Thad, I'm assuming we kick that over to you.
Sure, thanks. We're just putting in front of you the program of studies for next year. We had started this work obviously well before our current situation. We've, Joan, I'm not sure if you're able to provide just the changes document, but we also provided the document in its entirety. There's a few new classes in there, mostly electives. We've added a few classes in science, specifically around kind of a physics type of pathway. That are new classes. And then another major, just more of a formatting piece, is that now like the English department combined honors and CP in one description, with just an extra line or two about the honors difference between that and CP. So there's a number of things there for you to review. And I think another piece is we just aligned to the Mass Core. We, instead of referencing their units, we changed it to credits just so that it matched what we actually do within our school. And going to a 7-period day next year will also change the number of credits that students will accumulate over the course of their 4 years. So those types of things are reflected in the program of studies that you have in front of you.
Thad, I had a chance to look through it real briefly, so if I missed this in my review, I apologize. But
sure.
Are the dual enrollment classes also included in terms of the remote learning right now?
The remote learning specifically is not included, in terms of how we're operating today. Yeah. This was for next year's classes.
Right.
As it relates specifically to dual enrollment, we don't list the individual classes as they're a little bit dynamic each semester with in working with Worcester State. So our two kind of required courses are math and English. Every senior must have a math course and an English course. And then we work with Worcester State to grab other courses that they have available to teach, but also would transfer to, essentially all public schools in Massachusetts at the very least. So we don't really have the opportunity to list individual classes within there.
Okay. Of course, immediately after I asked the question, I realized we're talking about next year and not now, but sure. It's good to know that those are going to be available still.
They are.
Anybody else on the school committee have any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Thad, for making a couple of the changes in there that we had talked about, specifically with virtual high school. I appreciate it, and I do appreciate all the work that you did on the program of studies. It's a big job, and I think it puts it in perspective. It also makes my heart full of joy knowing that social studies is going to continue with a government focus. So that's good too. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. We should recognize the guidance department. They're the ones that do, really the majority of the work around that and compiling it. So the teachers, of course, submitted everything, but Sharon Semenza does a tremendous amount of work, as do the guidance counselors. They definitely should be recognized for the work they put in on that.
I'll enthusiastically agree with what Larry said, especially concerning the social studies aspect. If nobody else on the school committee has comments or questions, I guess at this point we could, I'd entertain a motion to accept the studies program as put forward.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the program of studies for the 2020-21 school year as presented by the high school principal.
You have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 And chair votes aye. Thanks a lot, and thank you, Thad.
Thank you.
2020-2021 school calendar. Joan, do you want to take this?
So sure. We had a subcommittee that worked on this. We had started before we went to remote access, and a couple of weeks ago, we met again and finalized the calendar. We looked at professional development days, tried to spread things out, and there was about 8 people involved in this process. Bill, I don't know if this calendar could be shown on the screen. Can it?
Sure.
Bill, did you know we could only see your eyes? Are you in incognito tonight?
It's been a long day.
All right, it should be up.
Thank you. Perfect.
Oh, great.
So I didn't know if anyone had any specific questions.
I don't at this point. Anybody on the committee have any comments or?
I had a question. I was just wondering why we went to half days, every month for professional development instead of the other Fridays, every other month, a full Friday. That's all. I guess it was your subcommittee that got that together.
Yeah. I know there was a lot of debate about trying to find more time for professional development, especially Mr. Landman was working us hard to get more professional development time. And I think this was a compromise we came up with. I think Mr. Landman would like to have professional development 3 times a week all year long.
Thanks. I was just wondering.
I'm just out of curiosity, maybe it makes absolutely no difference, but Joan or Thad or whoever would like to chime in. Is there an advantage in a way of doing a day-long program as opposed to half days, just in terms of providing a little bit more in-depth coverage of the things that you need to go through?
John, I can talk if you want, or
Sure.
whatever you'd like.
Sure, and I'll add to it that.
Yeah, sure. I think some of the thought was if you kind of go back and look at prior years' calendars, we only had 1 or 2 of those Fridays throughout the year, and they were pretty spread apart. So what we were looking to do is to, if we think about this as well in terms of our professional development over the course of the year and trying to incorporate consistency and a theme from the beginning of the year to the end and maintain that consistency, the half days once a month made a lot of sense. Whereas when we have, I think last year this year we had a full day in October, and then we had another full day in March. And so maintaining that consistency over the year is really difficult when you have just those 2 full days over the course of the year. So I think that was really the aim, and it gives us some time. We're gonna, I think in most of the schools, we're gonna combine those half days with our faculty meetings, which gives us an additional hour, so we can really get a lot of work done, and we'll be able to plan ahead and know what that looks like every month to maintain consistency. So I hope that helps answer it.
Sure.
And we will also wanted to provide consistency for the students with their learning and for the families for planning. That was another thing we looked at. And by having a consistent day in the month, parents could plan for that. And I agree, we have that staff meeting time, so we have more time. And also, we were looking at time on learning for the students.
Okay. If there are no other questions or comments from the school committee, then I guess I'd entertain a motion to approve the proposed school calendar.
Greg, I just have one comment.
Oh,
and
sure,
it's
go
just on something that's not marked on the actual calendar.
Mhm.
In January, you have a half day on the 15th district-wide, but it's not marked on the actual calendar visually. So you just
Oh,
might
thank
want to
you.
update that.
Okay,
That was it.
good catch.
Good pickup,
Thank you very
Felicia.
much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Do I hear a motion with the change proposed by Felicia?
All right, I'll make the motion. It's pretty
Anybody?
quiet out there.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we accept the school calendar for Winchendon Public Schools for the 2020-21 school year as presented by the superintendent.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 And Chair.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. We need more caffeine out there in the afternoon for before these meetings. Next is 2020-2021 school choice. Joan?
Sure. The superintendent recommends that in accordance with state law requiring all schools to be open for school choice, the Winchendon Public School District accepts choice students for the 2020-2021 academic year in the following school grade levels where space is available. The administration will be cautious not to accept a number of choice students that would adversely affect district finances. So the leadership team met and the principals looked at the class sizes at each of their levels, and they are proposing these slots. So 9th grade, 5, 10th, 5, 11th grade, there are no open slots, and 12th grade, 5. Just did the, Mrs. Facina did the same at the middle school, 6th grade, 10 slots, 7th, 10, and 8th grade, 5 slots. At Toy Town, Mrs. Aker looked closely at the class sizes and we had a discussion, and this was also part of our budget meetings. So when we looked at it, we have 3 open slots in 5th grade, but we're concerned about increasing the class sizes at 3rd and 4th grade. And Mrs. Adder at Memorial School, kindergarten. Right now, kindergarten registration is slow because of the school closure. Michelle has set up, and her secretary Bev has set up a process where they will ask me to mail registration packets if parents can't apply online, and parents are sending back their registration. So we did receive 2 this week. It's open for parents now, and it will be open all the way up until the fall. So we can get, I'm sure it's so far out, parents are not really focusing on that right now. But we do have a process in place for to receive remote applications. So at kindergarten, we have 2 slots, 1st grade, 2 slots, and 2nd grade, we felt that it would be best to keep the class sizes as they are right now.
Do we have a kindergarten projection at this point?
I want to say 25 is, the census is a little bit lower, Ruann. But we were talking different numbers this morning, so I don't want to state the incorrect number. But the census is a little bit down with the birth rate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How, just in terms of numbers here, how does that compare to what we're doing or had been doing before the closure?
I could actually pull it up for you. I can't get.
I mean, I'm just curious of whether it's much more, much less.
It's in some areas the same, in some less.
Okay.
But you're really going to see the difference in K on an annual basis because of the census with the births and the in movements.
Any other questions or comments from school committee members? I guess not.
Nope.
Do I have a motion?
I move
Anybody?
that we accept the school choice openings for the 2021 year.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. And next on the agenda, Joan, the April vacation survey.
Sure, Bill, do you have the results? So 25.2% of our community voted in favor of conducting remote learning during April vacation, and our last day of school would be June 15th. And 24.8% voted to hold April vacation, with the last day of school being June 19th. Just to add to that, if the school committee votes not to hold April vacation and to conduct remote learning during that time, we are still serving meals Monday through Friday in our community to our families and our students. So that is not going to affect any mail delivery. That will still occur.
Okay, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's one change. I spoke to food service, the food service director today, and we were going to send home meals for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday tomorrow. We've decided not to send home the meals for Monday. We are actually going to be at the school and in the community serving meals on Monday. So we're able to provide fresh breakfast and lunch for the students. So that's a change.
Okay. I'll certainly let the other committee members speak for themselves. I know when you first sent this out, my first reaction, and I've stayed with it since then, is to basically continue through April vacation, because we're not doing really full days of learning now as it is. And I just think it would be better for continuity's sake and for the sake of learning, just to keep the momentum going, to continue through April vacation.
Yeah, I would concur with that. It's pretty overwhelming. I think people the kids are home with nothing to do anyway, and to disrupt their learning by giving them a week off where they're sitting home doing nothing. I think the whole point of remote learning, even if it's only 3 hours a day, the whole purpose of it is to keep students engaged and keep the learning process moving forward. So I wouldn't want to lose that momentum.
I agree completely. I thought the same thing when I saw the survey and when I saw the question come up, that I think people we've really just gotten going. So why would we stop now when we really only have a week or two under our belts of remote learning? So I definitely think that we should keep going.
Okay. Pam or Roanne, either one?
I agreed with that.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, then I would again entertain a motion on that we continue through April vacation with the remote learning.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue through April vacation with remote learning.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. And next, any comments or questions from citizens who may be joining us for our remote meeting tonight?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
it's Mo Ward.
Hi, Mo.
I have a couple of questions on budget and finance. I don't really expect Superintendent Landers to be able to answer them tonight, but maybe give us an idea of when we will know. Transportation, will we have any savings or rebates for homeless, out of district, regular transportation, athletics? Any savings in contracted services, utilities and supplies? And is there any information from state on net school spending for this year? Because I don't imagine we're going to meet that threshold.
I can give you some insight into the transportation right now. The transportation is a big topic, and Anne, if you wanted to join in this discussion on the state level, because every school district is, because we're not using our buses at this time with the school closures. A lot of districts, including ours, we're using one bus to deliver every day in the morning, to deliver food to 6 locations in the community. I've spoke to legal about this, and I've spoken to area superintendents, and there's a big discussion on the state level about this, about that there is Mass General Law that you don't pay for services that you don't receive. First directive from the Department of Ed was to make everyone whole and pay different vendors and placements and everything. But on further discussion, there's this legal loophole which could prevent districts from doing that. I did talk to the superintendent in Narragansett yesterday and the superintendent in Gardner, both of who have North Reading Transportation, and I actually reached out to Rowan because Fitchburg uses North Reading also. The state is supposed to be coming out pretty soon with some guidance on this. They've hesitated and left it up to local decision, but I think there's been so much talk about it and confusion about it. There is a meeting with the, Jay Sullivan from the finance office tomorrow, and I'm assuming they're going to reach out and give us guidance. I also met with the town manager today, and we talked about this, and I updated him on information that I have heard. So I'm hoping within the next week we get clarity there. They have not, as far as special ed transportation and all the other athletics, we definitely will have a savings. We're not transporting. That's North Reading. The special ed vans, they are distributing food in the community door to door to families that don't have transportation access. So we're working all that through with the state and with legal. And nothing, they haven't said anything about net school spending. They have a lot of meetings, the commissioner, the finance office, and the executive director of finance at the state. They've been talking about every district is trying to find guidance on what to do in these areas. So there's calls again tomorrow. What I can do is I can send out, as I receive information to the school committee, to the selectmen, and to the finance committee. The last conversation with the commissioner on Tuesday, they really, his office really feels we're going to be facing fiscally difficult times coming. They said think of the worst and then think worse. They think that the governor's budget, the numbers that we have right now, are not going to hold, and that they're going to come out with one budget, the governor's budget, and without the state, without the Senate and the House. So obviously, we continue to look at our present budget, but also look at what we can do in the future. I think that there's going to be a problem for everyone in the country in education.
And they're predicting at the state level that budget at the state level won't be out until June 30th.
Or July. Right. I thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah, I think if you could just keep folks updated and maybe even a blurb on your website, it just helps people because we hear things, and I know I get comments from folks in the community from a distance, but saying, hey, what's up with and how are we going to manage? There was even some talk a while ago about not getting the extra monies from state that we had been promised until possibly next year. And although it wasn't a great deal, it sounds like a great deal to common folk that aren't in education when you talk about millions of dollars. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Moving on, do I have any comments or questions from school committee members? And apparently not. Yeah.
You'll find that hard to believe, Greg, I know, but I don't have anything tonight.
Okay.
Well, I do just want to say, I want to thank the entire school community for everything that they have been doing to try and keep our students engaged and to keep our community supplied with what they need, not only for school supplies, but for all the work that's being done to keep our students and their families fed and keep them, from really backtracking. It's been amazing to see. And I want to thank the administrators that have done the videos that have been sent out. They're very cool. I appreciate that. Please keep us in the loop. Those have been really fun. I know there's still more coming, and that's great. So make sure you keep us in the loop. That would be great. I think it's just, of all the things that have happened with this pandemic, the thing that has come out of it is how wonderful the people are that we have working here in Winchendon, and how wonderful it's been to see the town pull together to keep learning going for our students. And our administration certainly has gone above and beyond. Joan, you have been an amazing school leader, and I appreciate that. And I just want to thank everybody that's done all that extra work.
Ditto to Larry. Thank you for everything. I know it is not easy to change your practice midstream and reinvent the wheel, but you're all doing a great job because I can see it in my own house. The girls love the videos.
I'm glad they're pleased.
Especially Dress Down Friday.
Yes, Dress Down. They comment on Dress Down Friday. Yes.
Yes.
Right.
I got a little razzing about that at the house, but yes.
All right. Pam?
Just wanted to.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Pam. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I ditto on Larry too. And the videos are very inventive. Yes, very good.
All right. Anybody else? All right, I'm just going to close by saying that I again would endorse everything that Larry has had to say so far, and I've actually been proud to share some of the videos that have been sent on my Facebook page, so people in other parts of the country can see what a great team we have here. So keep it up. And with that, I guess, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
Greg?
I have one question.
Sure.
Yeah, this is Inanna Arthun.
Yes.
I was just kind of curious if the school committee has considered how the cancellation of the MCAS is going to affect the continuity of how we've been tracking our district's progress.
Joan, could you speak to that probably?
So they've canceled the MCAS statewide. I think that they will have to make some accommodations for that and change some of the accountability system. It's still new. The commissioner just announced that within the last week. But we also track our own students' progress in district throughout the year, so we'll be able to continue that practice. Obviously, we're very tuned into, how we go when the students come back to school while we're doing remote learning, but when they return, really making sure the focus is on student learning and getting the students the resources that they need for intervention for our students with special needs. We talk about that on a weekly basis, and that's a discussion at the state level. This is also new to everyone. It's a learning process, but the administration team meets quite often during the week by these Zoom meetings and talk about this. And if school isn't back until next year, we can't have a summer program, which we usually provide for our students. So looking at that closely, but we're really waiting for the guidance where it's new from the state. But I would imagine there will be a change in the accountability system, and they're going now looking at online SATs for students and the ACT test. It's a different format for students. Can I add something, Greg?
Sure, go ahead.
We are doing a video next week on our hometown heroes, the people that have been working behind the scenes to make sure that everyone in the community gets what they need. From our school resource officer to Haywood Hospital, who every Wednesday they come out and deliver 90 meals for our families. And Vanpool delivers, so all our bus drivers. So we're doing a video. And Growing Places has been unbelievable. There is a young man from AmeriCorps that is living, he's actually living in Littleton, who comes every Wednesday and delivers fruits and vegetables and resources for the students. And so there's a lot of people, so we're gonna be honoring them next week, because I think it's important to, people arrive. We have parents that called up and offered to deliver food to families. And I feel it's very important that we recognize them. And I also, and I said this in an email, I'm so proud of the leadership team and the care and the concern they have for the students, both the social, emotional, their health, making sure that there's contact with all the students, but also their physical needs and their academic. So it's everyone has stepped up and giving 150%. So I thank them. I think the community should know that. I thank them for all that they're doing.
Great.
And they love seeing me on a Zoom meeting tonight, because I usually don't show my face. I usually just have my name.
Thank you very much, Joan. That's good to hear. And you're right, there are a lot of other people out there that deserve some recognition as well. And we certainly want to thank them for all that they've had to contribute to the community. And everybody that we serve, that the schools serve, which isn't just the students, it's the families as well.
Yes.
So, anybody else? Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Hi, Greg.
Hello?
Hi, Greg. This is Tina Santos. Sorry. Trying to figure out this microphone thing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. So next week is Earth Day, and I don't believe the town is actually doing anything or hasn't scheduled anything because of kind of the, Corona stuff going around. So I hope you guys are all healthy and safe. But I know I myself have been kind of cooped in the house and doing some yard work and such. So I have been raking, and I kind of went over to the school and did the Murdoch and Memorial School and did the sign over there. And I was thinking about going over to the middle school and kind of raking and such. So I just kind of wanted to remind everybody next Wednesday, the 22nd, is Earth Day. So maybe kind of, if we can get out in the community, I know we need to kind of be 6 feet away from one another, but maybe if we can kind of just remind everybody to kind of go out and kind of pick up some trash and kind of make our community still look nice, even though if we kind of need to be away from one another, we still can kind of go outside and kind of, make our community still look nice. So.
All right. Thank you, Tina.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Do you know, I guess we were going to set something up with the kids and such. I know it's obviously we can't do it this year, but maybe we can look into it next year. I know, Joan, we were talking about it, I guess, at one of our meetings or whatnot. So maybe we can kind of just keep that on the radar for next year. Putting for all our schools, for maybe, and possibly maybe even we can have like a garden club for, I wanted to make a suggestion. Maybe we can have a garden club for all the schools. Because me and Nicole St. Pierre we worked on Toy Town Elementary when we were there. And then now that our kids are in the middle school, we've been kind of doing a lot of the middle school kind of grounds and such. And Toy Town, I think, is kind of needs to be weeded and such. So I think maybe some of the either senior kind of class of that each school can maybe have like a garden club, so to speak, maybe, just to kind of get out there and maybe, school spirit and get out there and maybe even be part of like a gym class or something, but get out and I know we don't have a groundskeeper, but maybe we could kind of set up something for a garden club, but just a friendly suggestion, just to make our gardens and our outside kind of look a little nice. I know Mrs. Marinelli will have her class go out and do outside of our middle school, do the entrance out there by the middle and the high school, but maybe for the other district or the other schools, we can set something up for the memorial and for Toy Town and such too. So,
Okay.
maybe a suggestion for that.
All right. Thanks, Dina. Maybe you could put together some suggestions and bring them to the one of the next school committee meetings. We could talk about them a little bit more in depth.
Sure.
And if I might, Greg, I'm so sorry, but I just would like to reinforce that while I love that idea of going out on Earth Day, that everyone should be following the state guidelines as far as being out in the community. And I think that we have some stricter guidelines now because we're just reaching our peak. We have 34 cases in our own town, which I was surprised to see. So I would just like to caution anyone from going out and being on the side of the road, et cetera, until we actually hear that that's okay for us to do that at a state level and what the recommendations are.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Now, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a second.
Jeff Rondo has her hand raised up.
All right. We are adjourned.
No.